Welcome back to our video series about what makes SWAT so unique. In the previous video you have seen how a SWAT-based application can look like. The UX is for sure one of the key USP of the AKIOMA platform. Another unique selling point of SWAT is its unique productivity, which results in an incredible time to market. This is achieved through several key features. For example, graphical design tools for UI, application flow and integration, reusing and sharing of components, modules, screens, and logic, object orientation and inheritance of objects, combined with the unique SWAT Smart Link functionality. The result is that even for complex applications no HTML, CSS or JavaScript knowledge is required. Our customers just focus on their business logic and domain knowledge. And SWAT does everything else that is needed for a state-of-the-art and future-proof business application, including a superior UX, fully integrated in their existing system landscape. Let's have a look at our sports demo sample application, and how it was created. This is the application of a fictitious company that sells sports articles. It has screens for customer maintenance, orders, items etc. Let's search for a customer. Now we open the maintenance screen of that customer. As you can see, the screen has a form with customer data, and a tabber with 2 pages. On the first page we see all orders of that customer. The order name column is displayed as a link, so let's click on it. As you can see, this opens another screen, which shows the order in a tree view with the order lines. Let's switch back to our customer screen. Notice that our order screen remains in our taskbar, so we can switch to that screen anytime we want. Now let's see how our customer maintenance screen looks like in the AKIOMA design tools. For this there is a menu function in every screen which allows me to directly open that screen in the AKIOMA designer. Of course this menu is not visible for everybody. Using the built-in role and security system of SWAT you can control who is allowed to make changes, for example only developers, business analysts or power users. This is how the designer looks like. In the left part you see a list of all the objects of your applications. This includes forms, screens, menus, data sources, fields and so on. In the middle you see the object you are currently working on. In this case the customer screen has already been opened for us. As you can see we are on the Design tab. It contains a tree view where you can see all the building blocks of which your screen consists. We see a data source, ribbon, and the customer form. We also see a tabber with the 2 pages, and page 1 contains the order data source and the grid for showing all the orders. On the left side we see the design part of our screen. This represents the logical representation of our screen. Let's refresh our memory and quickly switch back to our application. Our screen consists of a ribbon with buttons, a form below, and a tabber with 2 pages. On page 1 we see a list view with orders. Switching back to the designer, we see that it exactly matches that screen, the ribbon, the form, and the 2 tabs, with the grid on page 1. You could compare this to how you would design the layout of your house in a diagramming tools. Here, we do not care about how that form actually looks when launching the screen, therefore the form is represented only as a placeholder. We can, however, drill down and open that form in the form designer simply by double-clicking it. Now you see the details of the form, and you can rearrange it and change its layout, or add and remove fields. But, for this sample we assume that we are happy with the existing customer form, and just use it as it is. So let's switch back to our screen designer. Now, let's improve our screen. Instead of changing our existing screen, let's create a new screen. This is very simple. We select New, and in the dialog we fill in the fields like the name of our new screen, and to which part of the application it belongs. Then we select what kind of object we want to create. SWAT contains more than 100 object types out of the box, for example screens, forms, list views, trees etc. But in our case, we do not want to start from scratch. Instead we use the existing customer screen as a template. So let's filter the existing objects, and select the customer screen as the template. Now we can open our newly created screen, and make some changes to it. First, we want to add an additional page to it with address data. As you can see, a new page has been added, which is also reflected as a tab in our design canvas. The page contains one panel. Panels act as slots for objects. As we can see, it is currently empty, so let's change this and add an address form. We could create a new form, but let's first filter our repository if there already is an object. As you can see, there is already an address form, so we just use this by dragging it into our screen. That was easy. Now let's make some more changes to the screen, and also change the screen layout a bit. We want to see also the order lines for each order, without having to go into the order screen. So, let's add another list view which shows the order lines directly in our customer screen. For this, we change the layout of our page 1, so that it has 2 panels instead of 1. This can easily be done by changing the layout attribute. In our case we want to have 2 panels, and we want to arrange them horizontally side by side. As you can see, we now have 2 panels, arranged side by side, which makes the layout to look roughly like a U. That's why the layout is named 2U. As we don't have any order line data in our screen yet, we first need to add a data source. So let's search for a matching object. As you can see, there is a order lines to object. The SDO stands for Smart Data Object. Through the SDO, SWAT supports connecting with all kinds data sources, for example databases, or applications like SAP, Salesforce, or any kind of back-end logic. Let's add the order line Smart Data Object in the grid. Now that we have changed the layout of our screen, and added all required objects, let's look into another amazing part of SWAT, which is the Flow Designer. Here you can see all the objects that make up our screen, and how they are related to each other. We can see that our new objects are a bit isolated, so let's go and change that. We draw a smart link from our data source to our list view, and select data as the type of link. All the objects in SWAT have built-in intelligence, and so do the links. That's why we call them smart objects and smart links. By connecting the 2 objects with a data link, SWAT can automatically provide sorting, filtering and other functionality automatically. Let's see how our screen looks like in the application. For this, we can launch it directly from the designer. As you can see, we now have a third page with the address data, and we have a second grid on page 1. So this looks quite nice. But looking closer, the behavior is not exactly what a user would expect. We see all order lines of all orders, but of course we would expect to see only the order lines of the currently selected order. Let's go back to our designer and improve this. As already mentioned, all the objects, data sources and links have built-in intelligence. So let's create a link between the order data source and our order lines data source and see what happens. As you can see, the objects communicate with each other, resulting in the expected behavior. Through the connection and the link type, the object automatically create a relationship when the screen is launched, and the Smart Data Object automatically transfers this into the correct filtering for the connected database. Therefore showing exactly the expected data without the need for any coding, independently of the database, backend or application. If we would replace the data source with another one, for example one that is connected with Salesforce, then the screen would still work as expected, without any changes or coding required. Now you have seen how the creation of an application works and looks like in SWAT. If you want to know how to implement any kind of logic, as well as customizing, then please watch part 3 of our series. Thank you very much, and don't hesitate to contact us for a live demo.